Hey there, thinkers. Welcome back to Critical Hit. My name is S. And so look, it's been ages since we checked on the glorious disaster that is Helldivers 2 landscape. And well, surprise, things are apparently spicing up over there. Now, whenever the gamer drops an article, I immediately assume it's just some journalist desperately trying to make a story out of thin air. And let's be honest, when was the last time that Helldivers 2 actually had anything worth talking about? But of course, here we are again, forced to dive into this mess because apparently there's something going on. Though I can't imagine what it is. Because maybe the game finally figured out how to stay relevant, or maybe it's just another case of the devs making decisions that leave the community scratching their heads. Either way, I guess it's time to reluctantly peel back the curtain and see what's really happening this time. So hold on to your panties, because I have a few things to say here. But before I do, we have a small request. If you are new here, consider hitting the subscribe button, smashing that like, and ring the bell to be notified for our next video. We would greatly appreciate this, since this will help us appease those YouTube algorithm gods. So we thank you. Now let me give you our thoughts on this, and let's get into it. Oh, so apparently the gamer has decided to make a big deal out of the fact that some Helldivers 2 fans are calling out sexism in the player base. Right. Because after spending enough time with the Helldivers 2 crowd, I've totally seen them leading the charge against gender inequality. I mean, if there's one group of people that I would expect to have a deep, nuanced conversations about sexism, it's definitely the crowd of Helldivers 2 players. Am I right? Like, I'm totally not buying it. Like, so what you're really saying here is that players are somehow acting misogynistic. And honestly, that is such a bizarre take. But hey, thanks for that little tidbit, I guess. It wasn't at all necessary, but sure, I'll take it. It's almost as if you're trying to make a point by reinforcing the very thing that you claim to be against. Classic. Anyway, just in case anybody missed the memo, women can do anything. I mean, if we can tolerate this kind of ridiculousness, surely we can conquer the world. Am I right? When this is written by a female author from The Gamer, like, you know, a site that's always objective, there's definitely going to be some juicy context conveniently left out of the headline. But hey, let's just dive into this article and discover what they're really not telling us. Anyway, so Helldivers 2, what a hot mess that was. It had everything going for it. Tons of players, a huge fan base, until, of course, they managed to chase them all away with constant nerfs and patches that somehow removed everything fun about the game. Gamers? No, not thrilled. And let's not forget about the community managers, some of whom are still there and some of whom are gone, who were just straight up psychos. Banning people from the Discord left and right, attacking everyone who dared to speak up, and of course making themselves infamous in the process. So the article says, Helldivers 2 players discuss the issue of sexism in the community. And again, I don't know what real players are going to discuss that. I'm pretty sure they're just talking about some hardcore lefty players, but we'll find out here. As we've seen with online shooters, women are having to turn off voice chat to avoid abuse. Oh my god, here we go. Some are calling on players to call this behavior out when they hear it in-game. Oh my god, it's not that bad. So the article claims that Helldivers 2 players are discussing sexism in the community. Like, really, who exactly are these so-called players? Because if we're being honest, I doubt any actual real players are wasting their time on that. Like, my guess is that a bunch of hardcore lefty activists who decide to jump into a game to lecture everyone, I mean, like, we'll see here, because we've seen time and time again with online shooters, women are apparently forced to turn off voice chat just to avoid being bombarded with verbal abuse from trolls who think it's their job to ruin everyone's fun. I mean, but of course, some brilliant minds are calling for players to call out this behavior when they hear this in-game. And I mean, sure, because that's going to solve everything, right? Because can you just picture the intense confrontations that will follow? It should be super fun. However, Helldivers 2 is almost a year old, and it seems some players still haven't gotten the memo. Over on the subreddit, women are pouring out their hearts about the horrors of sexism in the player base, with some even opting to ditch voice chat entirely after being subjected to unsavory comments. It's honestly laughable how fragile some of these people are. The state of the gaming community has gotten so soft that it's so cringeworthy. Like, you wouldn't survive 5 minutes in a classic Call of Duty lobby or any other old school online game. And I'm talking the real deal, back when getting roasted by strangers was a rite of passage. These days, it feels like you'd be filling out a therapy intake form after hearing half the stuff we dealt with. Instead of building some resilience, though, you're hopping on Reddit to whine about the sexism in Helldivers 2. Honestly, it's like you've never been outside your little safe space. It's just unreal. Like, come on, this is just so absurd. I mean, if there was just a little bit of sexism in the voice chat, sure, that's a thing. But let's get real for a second. Are you still working towards the massive goal of exterminating bugs, or are we really letting that little issue derail the whole experience? Are players really ignoring the fact that you're in a game with them just because you're a woman? Like, are they really just going to stand around and watch the bugs eat you alive while you do absolutely nothing? And seriously, in a PvE game where the whole point is to team up and fight against the enemies, what could possibly go so wrong that you feel the need to rush to Reddit and complain about it? I mean, like, come on. Let's see what these gamers have to say, if they're even real gamers, that is. I am even willing to bet that they're just journalists pretending to be gamers so they can whip up some article about how there's a sexism problem in Helldivers 2. Of all games, a game that's basically the poster child for masculinity clearly has a hidden agenda. "Oh, I'm just here to enjoy Helldivers and spread democracy," said Reddit user Acceptable Piglet. "Being a woman doesn't mean I want a barrage of creepy comments. Like, seriously, stop making it weird. I mean, sure, you're probably the type to set up a camera in a gym and hope some guy looks your way so you can get your gotcha moment. But anyway, saying what ruins it for me is that the wildly inappropriate comments I hear almost every time someone realizes that there's a woman in the group." The user continues, "The moment I speak, it's like a switch flips. I'm suddenly the target of creepy remarks or outright gross comments. These comments aren't harmless fun, they're exhausting. Imagine trying to focus on liberating planets in the name of democracy while dealing with the running commentary about yourself and inappropriate things strangers want to do to you. The worst part, 9 times out of 10, the other guys in my team say nothing." See, here we go, another classic tale of guilty by association, because sure, this player is the only one ever to experience this, right? No, it turns out a lot of others are chiming in on their own sob stories in the replies. Flame Xeon in All of Her Wisdom says, "As a femme diver myself, I've long since accepted that chat texts and emotes are my only friends." She continues, "I'd rather die than use the mic until I've suffered through the last 3 dives with someone to see if they're not a nightmare. In 800 hours of helldiving, I think I've heard fewer than 10 women on voice chat. I wonder how many other silent souls are out there, too scared to speak up for the same reasons." Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the replies telling women in the community to just stop complaining and just mute the trolls, or dismissing it as an inevitability in online games. However, there's a good amount of fans who just want the Helldivers player base to be better than this. So hopefully more might feel emboldened to call out this behavior. Okay, so let's be clear here, because I'm not saying what they're doing is perfectly fine. If they're trolling that hard, yes, maybe it's time to mute them. Or, I don't know, maybe find another game to play. Like, Helldivers 2 isn't exactly a ghost town central. There is still a whole bunch of people still playing. So you've got a huge fan base to tap into. And you know what? If you want to avoid the chaos, why not dive into a super woke Discord? It's like a little haven for people who share the same enlightened ideologies. So go ahead, find yourself a nice, consistent group of players who get your vibe. Because here's the thing. You're all losing your minds over trolls, as if it's some huge shocker that they exist. Just so you know, men get trolled too. Shocking. Right, I know. they get a whole buffet of nonsense thrown at them too. Sure, it's not always about their gender, but harassment? Oh yeah, they get that in spades. And guess what? They're just supposed to suck it up because, you know what? They're men. No complaints allowed. But let a woman vent on a Reddit forum and suddenly it's like the apocalypse is upon us. So here's an idea. You could take a few seconds to open a Discord, dig around for people who might actually want to play Helldivers with you. I mean, it's not like the game is called Solo Divers, right? It's literally built around the idea of working with others. Shocking concept, I know. But if you're not into that whole community-oriented thing, you could always just keep praying that some random shows up just like the old days. But seriously, don't act like it's some novel concept to need a crew to join a game. Like if you keep relying on randoms to play with and you're in a game that's all about community and cooperation, you're basically signing up for disappointment. You'll probably get matched with someone who just wants to speedrun or throw grenades at you while you're trying to do actual objectives. Sure, go ahead, be that person, but don't say I didn't warn you. This isn't Call of Duty. It's about finding people who vibe with your playstyle and, well, shocker, having fun together. Like, if you want to keep playing with randoms, enjoy the chaos, but don't expect to come out of it with any meaningful experiences. However, those are my thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And hey, thank you for watching, and before you go, subscribe to our channel, smash the like button, and ring the bell to be notified for our next video. As always, this is Est, and I'm signing off now. So I'll see you in the next one. Toodles!